Hello, everybody, and welcome to podcast number 75 of the Real Estate Show. It is so good to be back with you. I'm Cherise Selley, and with me is the retired Bill McAfee.
August 31st, Cherise.
Come on.
Nope, it's I'm still consulting for him, and I'll still be doing numbers and everything. But yep. Like I told you, I was actually driving a tractor out in the fields the last couple of days.
You were driving a tractor.
Yep.
I mean, all kinds of things have been happening out there on the farm, hasn't it?
It is. I actually was so tired I didn't even shower when I came in. I don't know if we should tell your people that, but it's like I grew up on a ranch, but I haven't worked that hard in a long time.
Well, I just brushed you off. Do you remember right before we started?
And I think that was Rodney, maybe some little smokies. I think that might have been a little smoky dust.
Well, at least it wasn't crop dust.
That's true. Very true. It can happen.
I mean, Bill, but here's the good news. You did get the air conditioning tractor this time.
Again, the hired man still has a job because at first it didn't look like I was going to get the tractor with the good air. So I did. And so Johnny's still employed.
Johnny's on the spot.
He is. He is on the spot. Well, and then we were doing grain and it's really weird because the seed comes in these things that look like huge grocery sacks that are covered on the top. And I know to people out there that may not make sense, but there's like 2,000 pounds of seed. When we were pulling it off the trailer, we had some of our supports didn't work quite right, and so the bag just tore. So we literally had to manhandle 2,000 pounds of seeds to get it into a tractor bucket to put it into the drill. So
manhandle the seeds. So
we did.
What do you do? Do you just punch the seeds? Do you beat them up?
The seeds are very small, so I actually had a chance of beating them up. But we had big scoop shovels.
Shovels.
Yeah, the scoop shovels are very wide scoop shovels that we did. And then part of it, we literally, once the tear happened, finally we were able to get like the back of it and kind of roll it partly in, but it was a long process. And we'd been at it for hours by the time we did. So this was kind of toward the end of the day, and
Bill,
we were a little bit tired.
So is this in any way a confession to your family? Because is this the first time? I
swear we got all that seed up off the ground. Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Johnny owes us $125.
I am so grateful that you've decided to get this off of your chest as we're shooting our podcast, because
my confession.
It's really important.
Yeah.
I don't think we could have a clear podcast without a confession.
No. And having you as my confessor even makes it better.
I guess I bring it out, don't I?
You do. That's why we should stop talking right now and end the podcast.
So here's the deal, though. As you talk about what you went through on the farm, okay, unexpected things, challenges that come up, having to pivot, the grain, the shopping. I'm sorry, but I go to Whole Foods. If I have one tiny one tiny shopping bag, that's $200. Okay, yeah. I can't imagine the size you're talking about of a grain bag.
It's about 4 foot high.
Okay.
No, it's more than that. It's about 5 foot high. It's a square that's probably it's 4 by 4. So it's 4 foot high, 4 foot wide, 4 foot deep.
That's significant.
Yes.
And so when that spills, you have to pivot.
Yes.
And
first of all, you get out of the way.
Very true.
So then you pivot.
This is a perfect setup to talk about our real estate market.
Yep.
Because we're pivoting. It feels like the bag is broken. It feels like what is going on, people?
Well, we came from a really, really, really good time where we were all partying like rock stars, and now we're going to have to get sober.
That's true.
So it's like, it's just the market's changed. It's not, and that doesn't mean that it's going away, but it's changed.
Yes,
and
it has.
Just like what we were talking about earlier, you're going to work more to get the deals that you get.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But those who actually have, I guess, the smarts to say, here we go, let's get that scooper shovel.
Yep.
Okay, so you have a lot more scoops per project.
Yes, you do.
But there is a way through this.
Absolutely.
And everybody, this is not about just staying paralyzed and
right.
In your corner, but this is about collectively, like my heart for everybody listening, because most of you listening have been our treasured past clients, existing clients, people who are going through change, have gone through change, or are thinking about change. And, I would say this, even through all of this navigation through the market and all of the scary media, your story is as personal as you are. and your situation, and people are going through change, and the market can't stop change in people's lives. So how do you navigate through it in the middle of change? And there are ways. That's I think where it's time in our industry. There's never been a better time to rise up and help people think differently through this process.
Cherise, back in 2008, when everything hit the can, I opened a company called Short Sale Solutions, and it was to help those people who were in a position where their house wasn't worth what they owed on it.
That's right.
But that was a tool that really helped us pivot.
Yes.
Into it. For us, it was very hard work and it wasn't fun, but it literally pivoted us and shot us to the number one company during that time. And right now we got another company called Assumption Solutions, which is to help buyers out there. If you can work it. If you have somebody that has a loan that's assumable, they might want to assumable. So my whole point to you is, yes, when there's tools out there, we are going to have to pivot, but there is things that we can pivot to, not just stay buried in the sand.
That's exactly right. And you mentioned something that I was reading about too, that cash transactions are way up.
We, in our local market, they're doubled. So at this,
from when?
From a year ago.
Okay.
So if we looked at a year ago, the cash transactions were about 6 to 7%.
Okay.
They're 16 right now.
Wow.
And I got a feeling like we just had a client that has a home in Florida and he has a home here and he's selling the home here and going for it. He's going to take all that cash and pay that off in Florida.
Yep.
And you're seeing that more and more because the market, people don't know where to go in the market either.
Yep.
And so we are seeing a lot of people put cash into real estate because they don't know where it's going to go.
I can say that I'm seeing that in my own business.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seriously doing it.
Yeah.
Like personally.
You are?
Yeah,
well,
I am.
You're only wearing shorts. I mean, I thought you had deep pockets, but now you're just wearing shorts. Nobody can see them.
I had to sell the rest of the pants to buy the property. But
there you go.
We are, Rhonda and myself, we are,
Yep.
because it is a safe place. And so,
you're right.
When we find stuff, I don't mind having money in real estate because typically over time it's going to grow at 3%. You're typically not going to lose if you can hang on to it. So for me, I don't mind it at all. I love real estate.
And for you, you're not thinking with, I have to make money in 9 to 12 months.
No.
So if you thought that way, you really would lose your pants and you could only wear shorts forever.
Well, and as big as my pants are getting, they're very expensive to buy. So I got to be really careful on that. No, we, Ronnie and I over the years have bought a lot of real estate. We got a lot of vacant land, and I grew up on a ranch. And so, I mean, I remember hearing stories from my grandfather and others who went through the Depression, and just land held. It wasn't great.
Right.
But it held, and and so if you're in that, it's almost like holding on to gold.
It is, isn't it?
Just, it'll typically hold its value. Yeah, if you don't, and as long as you don't have to fire sell it. And I would say you talked to me about your clientele, a lot of very sophisticated people,
right?
Who know what they're doing.
Yeah,
and so that's it is a good thing that we're seeing when they go into real estate because it's a great hedge.
I believe that totally.
Yep.
And it's one though where you still have to mow the field, right?
Yes,
literally.
Absolutely.
So forgive me for saying that you were on a farm when it's a ranch. And I know those are two different things.
Yep.
To somebody like me who is completely in a suburb living near downtown, that doesn't even equate to my life. So I don't know if I really understand the difference all the time.
Typically farms, where you'll grow crops.
Yeah.
So like wheat and corn and like back east Iowa, Nebraska, those are farms. But a lot of farmers run cattle. What we did growing up was mainly run cattle.
Okay.
So we had what we called a cow-calf operation. So we would calve out in the early spring, run them through the summer, and then sell them off in the fall and winter.
That is why you are the one person that was the most equipped to wrangle up people, agents in this business and work with all of us. We are more wild than cattle.
It's not as bad as cats, but yeah, that did uniquely equip me.
Bill, it says a lot, actually. No wonder. I totally know this about you now. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, and sometimes I hate to say it, but cattle are easier to deal with.
But I would totally agree. Sometimes. I mean, sometimes I can't even deal with myself.
Well, plus if I stuck you with an electric prod or a poker, you probably wouldn't like that too much. So
Okay, well, we won't make assumptions here on the show. But I would like to go over some stats because a lot of my clientele, they're waiting. They're like, okay, get to the point. What are the numbers? What's happening in the market? Gotcha. And we're shooting this podcast. It'll be the end of September, the beginning of October when this airs. But what we have is numbers to the end of August. Yes. That's what's out right now. Yep. And so we'll just say this is kind of the summer wrap up.
Gotcha.
And right now, as far as the numbers, the average home price as far as August of 2023 was at $553,959. Mm-hmm. It was up from a month previous of July by 2.5%.
Yep.
And it was up 4.4% from the year prior, August of 22. Right. So we do have some appreciation in the average price. In the median price of homes, $480,000. Okay, $480,000 for August of 2023. It was up 1.7% from $472,000 the month prior. And then the year prior, it was still $480,000. That was the median. So I just consider it a little bit more of a stabilization. Right. It shot up a little bit. And I mean, remember this too, everybody, the market is so hyper localistic. So some areas I do find have a little bit more play, a little bit more appreciation than others in our city. Right. And the other part is, even though our numbers and prices overall, I mean, this is just going from month to month. So we do see a little bit of like flatlining, but really overall this year, we have had some appreciation. Right. And I know you're going to get into it in a minute, but the only other thing I wanted to say before you do is, we're just seeing that inventory though is down. So that's the difference. Yeah. Take it from here, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. If I will tell you, Cherise, if we didn't have the shortage of homes that in the single family market, this would have been a lot different. Our demand that we had last year, fueled by those interest rates that were very low interest rates, was just a demand that we'd really never seen before. We were selling homes at a pace that we had never sold homes before.
True.
And so when you get interest rates, you go back to December of 21, rates in there were about 3.1%. And now we're at for an effective 7 3/8, and I do anticipate them going up higher.
You just heard that news today.
I'm just looking at the 10-year note, and for the people we're talking to, if you want to see what 30-year mortgages are going to do, watch the 10-year Treasury. Okay. And that will pretty much tell you what the long-term 30-year mortgages are going to do. Yeah. And so we're probably, I don't think, we'll be over 7.5 here very quickly if we're not there already. Yep. And I think with everything going on in the world right now, you could see between 7.5 and 8. But the one thing that you and I had talked about earlier, and this is true, life still happens.
That's right.
People still get married. Kids, their kids get a job and they're coming out of their parents' basement. People get divorced. People live, but people die. Yeah. And so there's always stuff that happens. People get jobs. Here in our local community, I was just at a huge meeting last week about Space Command. And
this is good news.
Very positive news. And in fact, this is a guy you've heard Rory too, so we've had the opportunity to listen to him a lot, and he's involved heavily in the program.
He's brilliant.
He is, and so he said at that meeting that on the Nevada corridor between Austin Bluffs and Fillmore, that you will start to see buildings go up, like where the dog track's at in there. He said within the next 12 months, you'll see buildings start to go up. Okay. And the officers in the command are very well paid. So even though it may be only $1,000, $1,500, they are extremely well paid. And then we have all the ancillary services that come with building those buildings.
Absolutely.
The plumbers, the electricians, all the contractors. Yep. So, you're going to have a lot of stuff going on in our local market. Right. We are really pretty insulated. It's ironic because, sometimes, people say there's too much military there and blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line for us is it helps stabilizes our market. So sometimes we don't have the highs that you'll see in Las Vegas or Arizona or Florida. But we typically don't have the lows that you see there.
I think it keeps us in the middle.
Yeah, I do too.
Literally. Yep. And that is my husband's number one philosophy about golf. Keep it in the middle. And he may not have the long shot that somebody else will have, but if he keeps it in the middle, he's still going to outgolf them.
Right.
If it always stays there. So it's like our market. I do feel that we kind of are hedged into a lot of stability.
Yeah.
And I love what our mayor, Yimmy, I was just listening to a podcast with my friend Yimmy. He was on it, and he said something that it was good to remember, that people don't understand this, but sometimes they use Space Force and Space Command and say the same thing.
Right.
But Space Force is an actual branch of the military.
Yep.
And so it's like Army, Air Force, Space Force. But Space Command is the command central.
Yes.
And that is what is here.
Yes.
In Colorado Springs, folks. Big deal to our city, and we still have so many other things adding vitality to our economics other than military.
Cybersecurity. I mean, that is huge here.
Huge.
It's
huge.
Yeah. The crocodile man is just huge. What a beauty.
We do.
So, yeah.
And, I just also I was downtown this weekend, and it was so nice because I admit that I don't spend enough time there. And I really enjoyed taking a walk and seeing the vibrancy, seeing new shops open, seeing enterprise happen. Actually, there was a neat little area that I had never experienced before. There's a new place that has opened for people. It's kind of I don't know, I don't even remember the name. I just remember what it does. It's a shop that in the front, it's a smoothie shop, and you walk to the back and it's weightlifting. And then there's a business co-op in between. And so for people who have recently gotten out of prison and they're rehabbing their life back into the world, they're getting back into the world. Maybe they're at a halfway house and they're trying to get their life back on track and they're learning life skills. This is a place where they can go to work out and to get disciplined with their mind, their body, their soul. And it's a place where the public can go, get a smoothie. It's a gorgeous place. And then they can go and interact with each other. And I'm thinking those are the cool things. It's, our city has, yes, we have great healthcare, we have great education, we have Olympic City, USA, but the city also has a heart.
Yeah.
And what I'm loving is to see new programs that are growing in Colorado Springs to add to the soul of our city.
Right.
And so that's the stuff. When we hear all of this real estate stuff, there is a reason still to believe in real estate in Colorado Springs, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I would agree with you. I mean, I think over the long haul, it's, again, we don't have the highs that some of the other cities do. We don't have the lows. It's a great place to be at. And everything going forward points to that.
Absolutely.
I think getting through over the next year is what I would say, just kind of making it through, just figuring out how to deal with it, how to deal with increasing interest rates. And the rates were 18% back in 1981. Now, the houses weren't 500,000 then either.
Right. They were like 17,000, Bill.
But people still bought, and they will. You know what, Cherise, what I did, I went and annualized the both average and median prices. So, and by annualizing, that means every month from January through August, I would average those out.
Okay.
And so from January through August of this year compared to January through August of last year on a running average, we're down on the average price about 0.8%.
Okay.
That's on a long-term running average. What you were doing is comparing the month to month.
Right.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Our median price is down about 2.5.
Okay.
But again, that's on a running average compared. I average every month.
Good.
But what's amazing to me, Cherise, and we talked about this a little bit already, is that if we didn't have the shortage that we have, prices would be dropping a lot more than they are.
Yes, you're right.
And I think that shortage here is going to help us come through the end of the year, not down a lot, in home prices.
Right.
So for those people that are selling or just people that are in the market, it's going to be okay.
You're right.
And so I don't, because if you turned on the news, you would think, everything's gone and we're done. And
no,
and it's just not. I mean, there's some opportunities. And we talked about the cash earlier. I will tell you, you have opportunities in cash that you may not have had a year ago.
That's right. Well, I mean, just one of this high-end transactions that I'm working on, the original price of this home was well over $100,000 more. It had a big price drop. It wouldn't have in the past markets.
Absolutely.
So we started at a really good place with the price drop. It had been on the market for maybe 60 days or so.
Right.
And so the price went down. And then we were really able to negotiate something that again, it's in the middle. It would seem fair.
Right.
For the situation that my client was choosing. And so there are opportunities.
Absolutely.
And for a cash buyer, they were saying, I think it's fair. It may not be the best steal because the market hasn't completely zeroed out,
right,
but it's worth hedging for them. It was worth hedging
absolutely
cash around and saying, we're going to put a stake in the ground of Colorado and let's call it good.
Well, and you know what was happening a year ago? People were paying $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 over list price.
That's right.
And so what sellers have to realize is that that's gone. 100%. For the most part. Yeah, you're just not going to put your market, get that bidding frenzy going up.
Right.
But you could still get something. And if you bought your house in 15, if you bought your house anywhere from 2008, literally, the only people that are in trouble was those that bought in late 21 and early 22.
Yes.
If you had to sell now,
yes,
you're going to be, but that's it. You literally go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and you're selling out, you're still going to do very good.
So there's very little to complain about if you bought in those years.
Yeah. And look at the interest rates a lot of people had.
That's right.
So they're not going to sell, and that's one of the things that I would say, like for your clients who have kids or something that's, that they may need to get a home for them. One of the things that I wouldn't forget is work with you and talk to some of the builders, because these builders are giving some pretty big incentives right now.
Yes, they are.
And so, for if you're not going to pay cash, but you're maybe doing something for your kids, or there is some opportunities there that were not there a year ago.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some buy downs on the interest rates.
Yep.
Like I've seen buy downs with builders that I can't even believe.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's, and the builders, they can't just stop, and it's not that, again, there's a huge shortage. But what right now is the interest rates. That's really what's putting the brakes on.
That's the kryptonite.
So, yep, it is. Superman would be hurt. Okay?
But there's a way around the kryptonite.
We'll cover it up with a 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, get the scoop shovel. It's time to go.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, it is time to go, everybody. This is it feels like it flies by, the time between us. But please enjoy this episode. And thank you, every one of my clients, friends, family, everyone who is listening to this episode. I just, first of all, want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I want to thank you for those of you who have known or been following our GordonandCherise.com, our Gordon and Cherise platform, the personal side of our journey. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love as I have worked. And I'm still in the process. I'm still in the battle. But through this cancer journey, I bring the love, the support, and the hope that comes from healing and community. And I thank every one of my clients. Bill, I thank you for your prayers and your love. Yep. I've never been the recipient of so many prayers at somebody's dinner table as I've been at yours. Day. So thank you. Yep. And if it just a quick synopsis of it, the cancer is out of my body for all foreseeable scans, but it's the year journey to keep it out and to do all the functional medicine that I'm doing to support the immunotherapy and all of the other things. So I'm on a little bit of a ride here, but real estate is alive. It's what we do. This is the backbone of our life. It's in me, and I'm not quitting. I am just continuing to work smarter, and I love the team and the people that are surrounding me to make that happen as well. So thank you, and we can't wait to catch you next time.